Under level 3 lockdown, artists and event organizers can still hold some form of gathering of up to 50 people indoors and up to 100 people outdoors. But the events industry, which is one of the hardest hit industries since the pandemic started, says this is not enough for the sector to survive. Let's discuss this further with Sharif Baker. He is a production manager in the eventing industry. He is also a board member of the Southern African Communications Industries Association. Mr. Baker, thank you very much for your time today. We heard a little bit earlier on EFF leader Julius Malema speaking about the state of the entertainment industry, the eventing industry, the hospitality industry in his 8th year birthday address. But if you could paint a picture for us about how dire the situation is, how huge is the impact of COVID-19 on the eventing industry?
Good afternoon, Tommy, and good afternoon to the viewers. Well, Mr. Malema is not wrong. The only thing that I would adjust is that our artists and our creative practitioners are not going to die poor. They're just going to die. Our creative sector has suffered tremendously from the 26th of March 2020, and irrelevant of lockdown level 1, 2, 3, and 4, our industry only goes back to work under lockdown level 0. For many of us in the industry, whether we're theatre, whether we are dance, whether we are art or poets, it has been catastrophic to us and to our families, whether it be banks knocking on our doors, wanting to repossess cars, homes and houses, whether it be landlords knocking on our doors. But, you know, put aside all of that, just putting the basic necessities of food on the table has been absolutely horrific. And assistance from government, unfortunately, from a relief perspective, has been rather limited, understandably so, but it has been limited, and we just don't know where else to go and what to do now, Tommy.
You did mention that it's only really under lockdown level 0 will the industry be able to fully open up and to function. With that in mind, your thoughts on the relief that that government has given. Should it not be a relief that is able to sustain the industry in a meaningful way until such a lockdown level is perhaps reached?
Yes and no. We've got to be understanding that our government hasn't got a bottomless pit of money. We are looking for that relief package and we appreciate it. But we've also got to look at a form of recovery and reconstruction, like the President says, like the Minister says. And there is that available for our sector. But right now it's falling on deaf ears at the Command Council and Cabinet. We have produced a comprehensive reopening protocol guideline that, if followed, would look after any form of COVID virus attack, of COVID virus infection, to at least up to 90%, which is by virtue, not just by vaccination, but by rapid testing and the systems put in place. Don't forget, our system is the only industry that has been regulated even pre-COVID-19 times. So when we say we're looking for relief, yes, we would love financial relief, but we're also looking for relief of them understanding that we know what we're doing and listen to us and allow us to go back to work under these severe circumstances. There are and is systems in place that we can also find relief within ourselves.
Your reaction then, Mr. Baker, to the current provisions that level 3 gives to the eventing and entertainment industry. 50 people maximum allowed inside indoor venues and 100 people outside. Is this enough?
By no means is it enough. Let's just look at the 50 people. By the time you've got a band on stage with Lyra standing in the front, that's already 12 people. Then you've got to look at the technical team behind them. That's another 20 people. So which means you're going to have an audience of 15 to 20 people. Economically, it does not make sense in any form whatsoever from an indoor perspective, as well as an outdoor perspective. Like I said, every lockdown level for us just goes in one year and out the other because it does not help us in any form whatsoever.
With the reopening protocol guideline that you alluded to earlier on, would the event space be able to open as we speak?
Absolutely. We will be able to open tomorrow, up to even from a sporting perspective. We've engaged with SASCOC as well, that we will be able to open up sporting facilities up to 5,000 people for spectators to join in. As far as audience members in an outdoor facility, again, up to 2,000-3,000, we can definitely look after, provided everybody follows the protocols. On an indoor, subject to venue, obviously would speak to the amount of people we can put in. But let me tell you, we would be able to put more than 50%. So, for example, unfortunately, we've lost the Ticket Pro Dome, but in the Ticket Pro Dome, we would be able to do an indoor venue for 3,000 to 4,000 people under proper guidelines, regulations, and protocols, which would then be economically viable for an event promoter, for an artist, and for a technical company.
Mr. Baker, we've seen other countries opening up the eventing and the entertainment industries. Concerts are being held. Musicians are able to earn a living and a livelihood from events. If you could talk us through the content of your protocol guideline, what are the details contained therein that would allow the industry to operate now?
So when this first started, we got involved with our counterparts both in Europe and America under the Event Safety Alliance, and the spine of our protocols is based on that. So following the route of Europe, the UK, and the Americas, our events safety guideline, if followed properly, would follow the hierarchy of protocols with regards to COVID-19, whether it be putting pods in place via fencing or whatever in an outdoor event, otherwise abiding by strict regulations on how we create the seating plan, monitored by safety officers, monitored by ushers within an indoor environment. Also, the flow of the way people walk into a venue, the way people get registered into a venue, the way people buy tickets. This would start even before you left your couch. The COVID protocols would be put into place. And it is matched one-on-one with the Event Safety Alliance, both in the Americas and in Europe. So if we would follow the same protocols, like they've opened up overseas, we would be able to do the same thing. Yes, maybe not as vast numbers as they are right now because of the numbers of where we are and vaccination where we are, but we could definitely open up literally tomorrow, provided they follow the protocols, as well as looking at vaccination passports and health passports, which would also look after rapid testing.
Now, you are a member of the South African Communications Industries Association. This protocol guideline document has been put together. Has it, first of all, been presented to the relevant stakeholders in government who can effect it or approve it or comment on it? And if so, what has been the reaction that you've received from them?
So we have, as the creative industry, have followed protocols right from the beginning. And I'm going to say this out loud. We haven't protested, we haven't toyed, we haven't done anything untoward. All we have done has followed the law. And with this particular document, we followed the law by following it, by submitting it to the Department of Sports and Arts and Culture, who are the custodians of the Sasria Act. We've submitted it to NEDLAC, we've submitted it to NAT Joints, and we know it currently sits with the National Command Council, the Corona Command Council. But there has been no feedback in any form whatsoever.
There have been other quarters that have said if shopping malls are allowed to operate, we know that a large number of people populate shopping malls and they are closed structures, then events should be allowed to take place. What are your comments on such a statement?
I'm going to say precisely. You can walk into a shopping mall that is totally not regulated. The only way it's regulated is you walk into the specific shop and you're ensured that you're wearing your mask and you're putting a sanitizer on your hands. But I can walk next to you, Tommy, in the shopping mall and nobody's going to stop me. Whereas at an event, unless you and I are married, I will make sure, or our industry will make sure that protocols are in place, that social distancing is very much the norm at any form of event.
Given all that you've said, Mr. Baker, what then is the way forward? You said that you haven't toyed, you said you haven't protested, but you put together documents, and it's been through NEDLAC, it's now sitting with the National Coronavirus Command Council. You say you've had no word from the relevant stakeholders. What then is your next move?
So our next move, working together, we have actually engaged with the Department of Sports and Arts and Culture, and they are helping us from a communication level. But unfortunately, when it comes to COVID, it doesn't sit with the Department of Sports and Arts and Culture, it sits with the Command Council. Now, our people are getting angry, our people are getting itchy, and we really want to avoid any form of confrontation in any form whatsoever. All we want to do is bring joy to the world and peace to the world. And we need the Command Council to sit with people who understand the industry and not hearsayers, so that we can unpack a solution together in making sure we can try and reopen our industry. That's the only way it's going to work now. I cannot tell you what's going to happen in a month's time, in a week's time. A lot of our tech guys want to take to the streets already, and we are trying hard to avoid that. For obvious reasons. So let's find a solution together. I will say that Minister Nadia Mthethwa has worked closely together with SACIA and with various associations, and we are really trying hard. But until the Command Council engages us, it's falling on deaf ears.
Mr. Sharif Baker, thank you very much for your time and putting down the sentiments of the entertainment industry and the eventing industry. We know that Ticket Pro Dome closed last week. No longer will it be used for events, but there towards the end of our conversation saying that our people are getting angry, our people are getting itchy. He is a production manager in the eventing space and also a board member for the Southern African Communications Industries Association.